My name is Harper Foster, and I'm 32 years old. When my successful lawyer sister suddenly returned home after 3 years demanding my room, our mother didn't just take her side, she kicked me out of the house I'd lived in while caring for our grandmother. At the family meeting meant to discuss Grandma's future care, my sister publicly called me a burden, a parasite living off family charity. 15 relatives nodded in agreement as she presented her plan to put Grandma in a nursing home and divide the assets. But what happened next left her pale and speechless. The family lawyer's arrival changed everything. Before we dive into how my world turned upside down, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy this story. I'd love to know where you're watching from and what time it is there. Now, let me take you back to that Tuesday afternoon when everything started. The doorbell rang at 3 p.m. sharp. I was in my home office, well, the spare bedroom I'd converted, reconciling accounts for 3 different clients when I heard my mother's excited squeal from downstairs. "Madison! Oh my God, you're home!" My fingers froze over the keyboard. Madison. My older sister who hadn't visited in 3 years, not even for Grandma's 75th birthday. I saved my work and headed downstairs, already feeling the familiar knot in my stomach. There she stood in our foyer, designer luggage at her feet, her husband David hovering behind her like an expensive accessory. Madison looked exactly as I remembered, polished, professional, and somehow managing to make our modest family home look beneath her just by standing in it. "Harper," she acknowledged me with a brief nod, her eyes already scanning the living room like she was cataloging changes. "Still working from home, I see." "It's called freelancing," I said, keeping my voice neutral. "I have my own clients now." She smiled that practiced courtroom smile. "Of course you do." Mom was practically vibrating with joy, pulling Madison into the kitchen, asking about her cases, her Manhattan apartment, anything to keep her talking. I noticed how Madison's eyes kept drifting to the family photos, lingering on the ones of Grandma. "How long are you staying?" I asked during a lull in Mom's interrogation. Madison exchanged a look with David. "That depends. We need to discuss some family matters." The way she said family matters made my skin prickle. In my 3 years of caring for Grandma while Madison built her career in New York, I'd learned to read the signs. Madison never came home without an agenda. "Speaking of which," she said, turning to Mom, "we'll need somewhere to stay. Hotels around here are inadequate." Mom's face lit up. "Oh, you'll stay here, of course. Your old room is—" She paused, glancing at me. "Well, Harper uses it as storage now, but we can clear it out." "Actually," Madison said, her voice casual but deliberate, "I noticed Harper's taken over the guest room too, as an office apparently." I felt the trap closing. I need that space for work. I have video calls with clients, financial documents everywhere. "Can't you just work from your bedroom?" Mom suggested, already moving toward the stairs. "Or the kitchen table?" "Mom, I run a business. I have confidential client information. I need a professional space." Madison laughed, a tinkling sound that set my teeth on edge. "A professional space? Harper, you're doing people's taxes from a bedroom. Let's not pretend it's Goldman Sachs." "Madison needs proper rest," Mom said firmly. "She has a real career. The stress she's under in New York, arguing cases, managing that huge workload. She needs comfort when she comes home." The words "real career" hung in the air like a slap. I'd been hearing versions of this for years, but it still stung. "So what are you saying?" I asked, though I already knew. Mom crossed her arms. "You can move your things back to your old room, or—" She hesitated, then seemed to gather courage from Madison's presence. "Maybe it's time you found your own place. You're 32, Harper." Madison smiled sweetly. "Great if you're out by the weekend. David and I have some important family business to discuss, and we'll need space and privacy." I looked between them, my mother avoiding eye contact, my sister already mentally redecorating my office. "You have until the weekend to decide," Mom said, her tone final. "This is about Grandma, isn't it?" I said, my voice sharper than intended. Madison's expression didn't change, but I caught David shifting uncomfortably. Everything's about family, Harper. I've been taking care of her for 3 years. Doctor appointments, medications, physical therapy. Sitting with an old woman isn't caregiving, Madison interrupted. She needs professional help, real medical supervision. She needs family, she needs stability, she needs… What she needs, Mom cut in, is for her granddaughters to stop arguing. Madison knows what's best. She deals with these situations professionally. These situations? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She's not a situation, Mom. She's your mother. Madison pulled out her phone, checking something with practiced indifference. There's a family meeting next week. Uncle Robert's organizing it at Rosewood Restaurant. We'll discuss long-term care options. Grandma doesn't need a facility, I protested. That's not your call, Madison said smoothly. Besides, you won't have power of attorney forever. These things can be contested, especially when someone's been taking advantage. Taking advantage? The accusation hit like ice water. I pay rent, I buy groceries, I live here at a discount while playing nurse, Madison finished. Some might call that opportunistic. Mom nodded along, and I realized with crystal clarity that they'd already discussed this. Probably on phone calls I wasn't privy to, and conversations where my 3 years of devotion were reduced to freeloading. The meeting's on Thursday, Madison said, already turning away. 7 p.m. Try to dress appropriately. As I stood there watching my mother fuss over Madison's luggage, I understood the real reason for this visit. They weren't just taking my room, they were taking Grandma. And they expected me to simply disappear by the weekend, as if I'd never mattered at all. That night, I sat in my soon-to-be former office, surrounded by boxes I'd started packing. My laptop showed 3 apartment listings, each one more expensive than what I could realistically afford. The irony wasn't lost on me. I managed finances for successful small businesses, but my own income was just steady, not spectacular. The house was quiet except for Madison's muffled laughter from downstairs. She and Mom were looking through photo albums, probably reliving Madison's glory days, valedictorian, law review, the job offer from Preston and Associates. The daughter who made it. I pulled up my client spreadsheets, trying to focus on work, but my mind kept drifting. 3 years. 3 years of 2 a.m. emergency room visits when Grandma had her fall. 3 years of medication schedules, doctor consultations, insurance paperwork that Madison never offered to help with. 3 years of being told my work wasn't real because I didn't commute to an office. My phone buzzed. A text from my cousin Sarah. Heard Madison's back. Mom says she's taking charge of Grandma's situation. About time someone responsible stepped up. Someone responsible, as if I'd been playing house while Grandma deteriorated. The truth was, Grandma had improved under my care. Her memory was sharper, her spirits higher. She'd even started painting again, something she hadn't done since Grandpa died. But none of that mattered. Not to them. To the family, I was just Harper the freelancer, Harper the one who couldn't hold a corporate job, Harper who still lived at home at 32. They didn't see the client relationships I'd built, the business I'd grown, the life I'd carved out while being there for the one person who'd always believed in me. Maybe they were right. Maybe I was just playing pretend. I drove to Grandma's house the next morning, needing to see her before everything changed. She lived just 10 minutes away in the same craftsman home where she'd raised her family. As always, I found her in the sunroom, working on a watercolor. "Harper, dear," she smiled, setting down her brush. "You look troubled." "Madison's home," I said simply. Her expression shifted, understanding flooding her features. "Ah, and Linda's chosen her side, hasn't she?" I nodded, unable to trust my voice. "Your mother sees what she wants to see," Grandma said carefully. "Madison's success is easier to understand. It's visible, measurable. Your strength is quieter. The family meeting's Thursday. They want to discuss your care options." Grandma was quiet for a moment, then reached for my hand. "I'm 78, not senile. I know what Madison wants. I won't let them. Sometimes, dear, she interrupted gently, patience is the strongest weapon. You've been patient for 3 years, haven't you? There was something in her tone, a hint of knowledge she wasn't sharing. She squeezed my hand and turned back to her painting, a sunrise over water, brilliant and defiant. I need to tell you something, she said, not looking at me. 6 months ago, I made some arrangements, legal ones, with someone your mother doesn't know about. My heart skipped. Grandma? Not now, she said firmly. But Harper, promise me you'll come to that meeting. Whatever happens, whatever they say, you show up. Sit through it all. They don't want me there. Madison made that clear. Grandma's eyes sparkled with something I hadn't seen before. Mischief, maybe, or strategy. Oh, my dear girl, that's exactly why you must be there. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, you know exactly how I felt that day. Have you experienced something similar? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're finding value in this story, please consider subscribing. It really helps me share more stories like this. I still remember the weight of Grandma's hand in mine, the certainty in her voice when she told me to be patient. I didn't understand then what she'd set in motion, but I was about to find out. Now let me tell you what happened at that family meeting, because that's where everything changed. Thursday arrived too quickly. I'd found a small apartment downtown, put down a deposit I couldn't really afford, and packed most of my things. Madison had already transformed my office into her temporary command center, legal documents spread across my desk. I overheard her on a call that morning. The house alone is worth $800,000, plus her savings, the investment portfolio. Yes, easily $2 million total. $2 million. That's what they were after. I did the math obsessively. Grandma's house was paid off, yes. Her late husband's pension and investments had grown substantially. But that money was meant to last her lifetime, to ensure she could stay in her home with proper care. At the rate Madison was calculating, they were planning for something else entirely. That afternoon, I found Madison in the kitchen with bank statements, Grandma's bank statements. Where did you get those? Mom had copies, she said without looking up. Power of attorney, remember? Someone had to keep track while you were playing caregiver. Mom doesn't have power of attorney over Grandma. Madison's smile was sharp. Not yet. The implications hit me like cold water. They weren't just planning to move Grandma. They were planning to take control of everything. You can't do this, I said. Grandma's completely competent. She manages her own finances. For now, Madison said, highlighting something on the statement. But at her age, things can change quickly. It's better to be prepared. I noticed several large withdrawals highlighted in yellow, 50,000 here, 30,000 there. Madison caught me looking. Interesting patterns, she said casually. Almost like someone's been slowly draining the accounts. We'll need to investigate that. The accusation was clear. She was building a case, and I was the target. I spent the next 2 days researching elder law, financial abuse statutes, anything that might help. The more I read, the more panicked I became. Madison wasn't just any lawyer. She specialized in estate planning. She knew exactly how to frame this. The withdrawals she'd highlighted? Those were for Grandma's home health care aids, the bathroom renovation to install safety rails, the stair lift that let her stay in her 2-story home. All legitimate expenses I'd helped Grandma manage, but without proper documentation, they could look suspicious. I called Grandma's bank, trying to get copies of the cleared checks, proof of where the money went. I'm sorry, the teller said. We can only release that information to the account holder or someone with legal authority. Legal authority. The very thing Madison was about to claim. I remembered something else. 3 years ago, when Madison was too busy to visit for Christmas, she'd asked to borrow $20,000 from Grandma for a down payment. Grandma gave it freely, but I wondered now if that loan was ever documented. Or the $10,000 for Madison's wedding, or the other gifts that seemed to flow one way. But I had no proof. And even if I did, who would believe the unemployed granddaughter over the successful Manhattan lawyer? Wednesday night, I sat in my empty room, everything packed except my laptop and one suit for tomorrow's meeting. I pulled up my client accounts, made sure everything was backed up. If Madison wanted to paint me as a thief, at least my actual business records were spotless. My phone buzzed. A text from Grandma. Remember what I said, patience. And Harper? Check your email in the morning. I couldn't let them destroy everything Grandma built, but I had no idea how to stop them. You're not seriously planning to fight this, Madison said Thursday morning, finding me in the kitchen. Grandma doesn't want to leave her home. Grandma doesn't know what's best anymore. That's not true and you know it. Madison set down her coffee cup with deliberate precision. Harper, listen carefully. You've had a nice run. 3 years of reduced rent, playing house, but it's over. Playing house? I saved this family thousands in healthcare costs. You sat with an old woman and called it work. While you were where exactly? Her eyes flashed. Building a career, making something of myself. Making money, you mean? Off other people's family dramas. David appeared in the doorway. Everything okay here? Fine, Madison said, not breaking eye contact with me. Harper was just leaving. Aren't you, Harper? I'm going to the meeting tonight. No, you're not. Try to stop me. Madison smiled, that cold courtroom smile. I don't have to try. Mom already told Uncle Robert you won't be attending. Something about you being too emotional about the situation. You can't. I can. I will. And Harper? She leaned in close. After tonight, you won't have any say in what happens to Grandma, or her money. It's not about money, isn't it? She pulled out her phone, showed me a photo of my laptop in what used to be my office. Interesting client files you have, all those small business accounts you manage, access to their financials, must be tempting for someone in your position. The threat was clear. Back off, or she'd find a way to destroy my business too. Stay out of this, Harper. She's my grandma too. Not for long. I found Mom in the living room, arranging flowers for tonight's dinner. We need to talk. If this is about the meeting, Madison's right. You're too emotional. Mom, do you know what Madison's planning? She didn't look up. She's ensuring Grandma gets proper care. She's planning to take control of Grandma's money. Someone has to manage things. Mom's voice was defensive. Madison knows about these matters. She handles estates worth millions. Exactly. And now she wants to handle Grandma's. Mom finally looked at me, and I saw it clearly. The exhaustion, the fear, the relief that someone else was taking charge. Madison knows what's best. She's successful, established. She understands how the world works. And I don't? Harper, you're 32 and living at home. You do people's taxes from a bedroom. You don't even have health insurance through an employer. I pay for my own insurance. I have 12 steady clients. You're playing at being a businesswoman. The words came out sharp, years of disappointment finally voiced. Madison has a real career, a real life. When she says Grandma needs professional care, I believe her. Even if Grandma doesn't want it? Mother doesn't always know what's best for herself. But Madison does? Mom stood, smoothing her skirt. Yes, Madison does. And frankly, Harper, you've had 3 years of living here cheaply, pretending to be important. It's time to grow up. Grow up? The adults will handle this, she said, walking past me. Your sister and I have already discussed everything. Your input isn't needed. I stood alone in the living room, staring at the family photos on the mantel. In every one, Madison stood in the center, golden and glowing. I was always slightly to the side, partially hidden, like I was already disappearing. That afternoon, I went to see Grandma one last time before the meeting. She was in her study, a room I rarely saw her use, sorting through papers. You came, she said, as if she'd been expecting me. They don't want me at the meeting. I know. She pulled out an envelope from her desk, cream-colored and official-looking. But you'll go anyway, won't you? I nodded and she smiled. Good. Harper, I need you to understand something. I've watched this family for 78 years. I know who shows up and who doesn't, who cares and who performs. She handed me the envelope. My name was written on it in her careful script. Don't open it yet, she said. Wait until you need it. You'll know when. Grandma, what is this? Insurance, she said simply. 6 months ago, I met with someone, an old friend who happens to practice law. His name is James Chen. The name meant nothing to me. Why didn't you tell anyone? Because some things need to be documented without interference. She moved to her window, looking out at her garden. Your mother means well, but she's always been dazzled by shiny things. Madison learned that from her. They want to put you in a home. I know what they want. She turned back to me. They've been planning this for months. Those phone calls Madison makes to your mother? I hear more than they think. Then why? Because sometimes, dear, you have to let people reveal themselves. She touched the envelope in my hands. Mr. Chen will be interested in tonight's meeting. Very interested. Should I call him? Only if you need to. The number's in there, along with something else. Something Madison should have asked about before she started making plans. There's something else, Grandma said, moving back to her desk. Those withdrawals Madison found? I have every receipt, every invoice, every canceled check. They're in my safe deposit box at First National. Why are you telling me this? Because after tonight, they might try to restrict my access, or yours. She pulled out a small key. This is the spare. Mr. Chen has authorization to access it if needed. My phone buzzed. Madison, meeting's at 7. Don't embarrass yourself by showing up. Grandma read my expression. She's warning you off? Threatening, more like. Good. That means she's worried. Grandma squeezed my shoulder. Harper, you've spent 3 years thinking you were weak because you're quiet. But quiet people see everything. We document everything. We prepare. I don't understand what you're preparing for. Justice, she said simply. The quiet kind. The kind that comes with paperwork and witnesses. Another text from Madison. Mom agrees. Stay home tonight. When the time comes, Grandma continued, you'll know what to do. That envelope isn't just protection. It's proof. Proof of who really cares for this family. Why me? Why not just tell them yourself? Because they've already decided I'm too old to know my own mind. But you? You're young, articulate, and despite what they think, you have something Madison doesn't. What's that? Receipts, she said with a small smile, both literal and figurative. Now go. Get ready for tonight. Wear something professional. As I left, she called out, Harper, when the time comes, don't hesitate. And whatever happens, know that I see you. I've always seen you. I drove home clutching the envelope, feeling like I was carrying a bomb that only I could see. Rosewood Restaurant was the kind of place our family reserved for special occasions, weddings, anniversaries, and apparently, ambushes. I arrived at 6:45, wearing my best suit, the envelope tucked in my purse. The private dining room was already filling up. Uncle Robert had outdone himself. 15 family members, all the ones with opinions about money, and none of the ones who actually helped with Grandma's care. Harper? Aunt Patricia looked surprised. Linda said you weren't coming. Changed my mind, I said, finding my name card at the far end of the table. Of course, as far from the center of power as possible. Madison entered with David and Mom, all three looking like they'd coordinated their outfits. Madison had a leather portfolio and a small projector. She'd prepared a presentation. Of course she had. Harper. Madison's smile was razor sharp. How unexpected. Grandma asked me to come. Grandma's not here, she pointed out. This is about her, not for her. The rest of the family filed in. Cousins who hadn't visited Grandma in years, aunts who sent cards but never called, uncles who always had opinions about what should be done. Madison worked the room like the lawyer she was, shaking hands, making small talk, building her jury. Before we begin, Uncle Robert said, standing at the head of the table, I want to thank Madison for bringing this to our attention. It's time we addressed Eleanor's situation properly. Eleanor's situation, not Grandma, not even Mother. She'd been reduced to a problem requiring a solution. Madison stood, smoothing her skirt. Thank you all for coming. I know this isn't easy, but we need to discuss what's best for Grandma's future. The lights dimmed. The projector flickered to life. The presentation was titled, Ensuring Eleanor's Dignity, a Comprehensive Care Plan. I almost laughed. Dignity. From the people who hadn't visited her in years. Madison clicked through her slides with practiced ease. Photos of luxury assisted living facilities, statistics about elder care, medical assessments she'd somehow obtained without Grandma's knowledge. As you can see, she said, laser pointer dancing across the screen, Grandma's needs are becoming more complex. She requires professional care, not amateur assistance. Several heads turned toward me. Now, I know some of us have tried to help, Madison continued, her tone patronizing. But good intentions aren't enough. Grandma needs qualified caregivers, medical supervision, and a structured environment. She seems fine to me, Cousin Jake said hesitantly. That's the thing about decline, Madison said smoothly. It's gradual. Someone who sees her daily might not notice, but I've consulted with experts. Without examining her, I couldn't help myself. Madison's smile tightened. Harper, you're not qualified to assess medical needs. Neither are you. No, but I understand legal realities. Right now, Grandma's assets are vulnerable. Without proper oversight, anyone could take advantage. Anyone like who? I stood up, anger finally overcoming caution. Sit down, Mom hissed. No, I want to know. Who's taking advantage, Madison? Madison clicked to a new slide. Grandma's bank statements, the withdrawals highlighted. $300,000 in 3 years. Unexplained withdrawals, cash transactions. Someone with access has been slowly draining the accounts. The room gasped. 15 pairs of eyes turned to me. Harper's been living there, Aunt Patricia said slowly. She has access. I have receipts for every— The unemployed don't get a vote here, Madison cut me off. This is a family matter for contributing members. I contribute, I've been— Sit down, Harper, Uncle Robert said firmly. You're embarrassing yourself. I stood there, shaking, as Madison continued her presentation. According to her, I was either incompetent or criminal, possibly both. I've already contacted Sunset Manor, Madison announced, clicking to a new slide showing a pristine facility. They have an opening next month. Full medical staff, memory care unit, structured activities. That place costs $15,000 a month, someone whispered. Grandma can afford it, Madison said, once we sell the house. Sell the house? I practically shouted. She loves that house. Sit down, Harper, Mom said sharply. You're making a scene. Madison's talking about destroying Grandma's life and I'm making a scene? Madison sighed theatrically. This is exactly why emotional family members shouldn't be involved in these decisions. Harper's too attached to see reality. The reality is you want her money. The room erupted. Uncle Robert stood up. That's enough. Harper, if you can't control yourself. She doesn't want this. I was almost crying now, frustration boiling over. Has anyone asked her what she wants? Of course we have, Madison lied smoothly. She's confused, frightened. She needs us to make these decisions for her. That's not true. 2 servers appeared in the doorway, drawn by the raised voices. Uncle Robert motioned them away, but they lingered, concerned. Security might be necessary, Madison said coolly. Harper's clearly unstable. I'm not unstable. I'm the only one who actually cares about— Ba Comunda! I shouted, my voice cracking. Grandma doesn't want this. The manager appeared. Is everything all right here? Family discussion, Uncle Robert said tightly. Harper was just leaving. I'm not going anywhere. Madison pulled out her phone. Should I call security, or will you leave quietly? I stood there, 15 family members staring at me like I was the problem, like I was the one trying to steal from an old woman. "This isn't over," I said. "Yes," Madison said with satisfaction. "It is." At that moment, sitting there with 15 family members looking at me like I was nothing, I remembered Grandma's words about patience. The envelope in my purse felt like it was burning through the leather. If you're still watching, thank you for staying with me through this difficult part. What happens next changed not just my life, but the entire family dynamic. Have you ever had to stand up against your entire family? Tell me about it in the comments. Please hit that like button if you want to see how this resolves. We're almost at the turning point. Now let me show you how everything Madison built came crashing down. My hands were shaking as I opened my purse. The envelope Grandma gave me was still there, cream-colored and waiting. Inside, I found a business card. James Chen, elder law attorney, and a phone number. There was also a single sheet of paper with Grandma's handwriting. "Call him now, he's expecting you." Madison was still talking, showing slides about asset liquidation, but I wasn't listening anymore. I pulled out my phone. "What are you doing?" Mom demanded. "Making a call." "Harper, this is ridiculous," Madison said, but I caught something in her voice. "Uncertainty?" I dialed the number. It rang once. "Miss Foster?" The voice was professional, warm. "I've been expecting your call." "Mr. Chen, this is Harper Foster. I'm at the family meeting." "Ah, yes, the Rosewood restaurant. Is your sister discussing power of attorney?" Madison had gone very still. "Who are you calling?" "I'll be there in 10 minutes, Mr. Chen said. "I'm actually in the parking lot. Your grandmother thought this might happen." "Who is that?" Madison's voice was sharper now. I hung up. "Grandma's lawyer." The room exploded again. Madison's face went pale, then red. "Grandma doesn't have a lawyer." "Apparently she does." "This is ridiculous," Madison said, recovering quickly. "Some ambulance chaser Harper found. He'll be here in 10 minutes. We can wait." Uncle Robert looked confused. "Madison, did you know about this?" "Of course not. Harper's obviously desperate, trying to what? Let Grandma's actual lawyer speak?" Madison's phone rang. She looked at the screen and her expression changed. Preston and Associates appeared on her caller ID. Her firm. She declined the call, but it rang again immediately. "You should probably answer that," I said quietly. The dining room door opened, and a man walked in. Asian, mid-40s, expensive suit but not flashy. He carried a leather briefcase and moved with the confidence of someone who'd done this many times before. "Good evening," he said. "I'm James Chen, Mrs. Eleanor Foster's attorney." Madison stood up so fast her chair scraped against the floor. "You're James Chen? From Chen and Associates?" "You know him?" Uncle Robert asked. Madison's face had gone completely white. His firm handles the Whitmore estate, the Morrison Trust. He's expensive," Mr. Chen said mildly. "But Eleanor and I go way back. Her late husband helped me when I was just starting out. I owe the Foster family a great debt." He set his briefcase on the table, clicking it open with practiced efficiency. "I understand you're discussing Eleanor's future care. I'm here to clarify some legal matters." "This is a family meeting," Madison said, trying to regain control. "You weren't invited." "Actually," Mr. Chen pulled out a document, "I was, by the only person whose invitation matters, Eleanor herself." Mom stood up. "Mr. Chen, was it? We're just trying to do what's best for my mother." "Of course," he said smoothly. "That's why Eleanor asked me to attend, to ensure her wishes are properly represented." He pulled out a folder thick with documents. Madison's eyes tracked it like a hawk. "Before we proceed," Mr. Chen said, "I should inform you all that I've been managing Eleanor's legal affairs for the past 6 months. She came to me with some concerns." "What concerns?" Uncle Robert asked. Mr. Chen smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Concerns about family members making plans without her knowledge or consent." The room was dead silent. Madison hadn't sat back down. She stood frozen, calculating. Mr. Chen pulled out a document, holding it up for everyone to see. This is a durable power of attorney for financial affairs, executed 6 months ago. And this, he pulled out another, is a healthcare power of attorney. Those can be contested, Madison said quickly. If Grandma wasn't competent, Mrs. Foster underwent a complete neuropsychological evaluation 2 weeks before signing these documents, Mr. Chen interrupted. Dr. Patricia Williams at Johns Hopkins. Would you like to see the results? Spoiler alert, she scored in the 95th percentile for her age group. He spread the documents on the table. Both of these documents name the same person as Eleanor's designated agent. The room held its breath. Harper Foster. The explosion was immediate. Madison shot to her feet. That's impossible. I would have known. Why would you have known? Mr. Chen asked mildly. You haven't visited your grandmother in 3 years. This can't be legal. Mom stood up, her face flushed. I'm her daughter. I should have. Should have what? Mr. Chen's voice remained calm. Been informed that your mother chose the grandchild who actually cares for her? Madison grabbed the documents, scanning them frantically. This is ironclad. I should hope so, Mr. Chen said. I wrote it myself, and before you ask, yes, it supersedes any previous arrangements. Yes, it's been filed with the county. And yes, Harper has full authority over both financial and medical decisions, should Eleanor become unable to make them herself. But she's not unable, Madison protested. She's fine. Exactly, Mr. Chen smiled. Which is why this meeting to discuss putting her in a facility against her will is rather puzzling, don't you think? Madison's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Mom sank into her chair. There's more, Mr. Chen said, pulling out another set of papers. Mrs. Foster asked me to investigate some irregular withdrawals from her accounts. $50,000 here, $30,000 there. Madison went very still. Interesting thing about these withdrawals, he continued. They all coincide with visits from certain family members who had temporary access to Eleanor's accounts. Those were gifts, Madison said quickly. Loans. Grandma offered. Did she? Because I have security footage from the bank showing you filling out withdrawal slips while Eleanor waited in the car. She never even entered the building. The room gasped. David stepped away from Madison, his face shocked. That's not, Madison started. I also have copies of the emails you sent to your mother, discussing how to access the funds before Harper notices. Would you like me to read them aloud? Mom's face went from red to white. Madison, you said Grandma wanted to help with your loans. She did. She just forgot. Her memory is perfectly fine, Mr. Chen interrupted, which is why she remembers never authorizing those withdrawals. That's theft, Mrs. Madison. Grand theft, actually, given the amounts. You can't prove. I have video evidence, email documentation, and bank records. I also have sworn affidavits from bank employees who remember you insisting Eleanor was too confused to come inside. Madison looked around the room desperately. Every face was staring at her in shock. The total is approximately $200,000 over 5 years, Mr. Chen said. Eleanor is willing to consider this a family matter rather than a criminal one, provided certain conditions are met. What conditions? Madison's voice was barely a whisper. Full repayment within 24 months, no further contact with Eleanor's accounts, and no challenges to Harper's authority. I stood up, my voice steady for the first time all evening. Grandma stays in her home. That's non-negotiable. You can't, Mom started. Actually, I can. I have full authority, remember? I looked around the room. Grandma wants to stay in her house. I've already arranged for professional home health aides to assist with her care. Licensed nurses, not amateur help. Not. Madison laughed bitterly. You can't afford. I can't, but Grandma can. And unlike some people, I actually asked her what she wanted. I pulled out my phone, showing them a video I'd recorded that morning. Grandma's voice filled the room. I want to stay in my home. I want Harper to continue managing my affairs, and I want my family to stop treating me like I'm already dead." The room was silent. "Furthermore," I continued, "the house renovations some of you questioned? Those were for safety. Grab bars, stair lifts, emergency systems. Every withdrawal Madison highlighted as suspicious has a receipt. Mr. Chen has copies of everything." "This is all documented," Mr. Chen confirmed. "Harper has been meticulous." I looked at Madison. "You accused me of stealing, but every penny is accounted for. Can you say the same?" "Harper," Uncle Robert said slowly, "we didn't know." "No, you didn't, because you didn't ask. You just assumed Madison knew best because she's the successful one, the lawyer, the one with the real career." I turned to Mom. "You said I was playing pretend, but who's been pretending? The daughter who stayed and cared, or the one who only showed up when there was money involved?" Mom couldn't meet my eyes. "Grandma stays home," I repeated. "That's final." The silence in the room was deafening. Finally, Aunt Patricia spoke. "Madison, is this true? You took money without permission?" Madison's lawyer mask finally cracked. "It's complicated. Grandma said—" "Eleanor said nothing," Mr. Chen interrupted. "I have her sworn statement." "I saw you at the bank once," Cousin Sarah said suddenly. 2 years ago, you said you were handling Grandma's business, but she was sitting in the car. I thought it was strange." "We should have listened to Harper," Uncle Robert said heavily. "She tried to tell us something was wrong." Madison turned on me, vicious. "You planned this. You manipulated a confused old woman. Stop." David's voice was firm. Everyone turned to look at him. "Just stop, Madison. I've watched you prepare for this meeting for weeks. The spreadsheets, the facility tours you took without telling anyone. You said it was about her care, but it was always about the money." "David!" Madison's voice was sharp. "I'm done," he said quietly. "This isn't the woman I married. Or maybe it is, and I just didn't want to see it." He walked toward the door, paused. "Harper, I'm sorry. We should have seen what you were doing for Eleanor." After he left, the floodgates opened. Family members started talking all at once, some apologizing to me, others confronting Madison, most just expressing shock. "How could you?" Aunt Patricia asked Madison. "Your own grandmother?" "She has more than she needs," Madison exploded. "I have student loans, a mortgage." "So you stole?" Uncle Jake shook his head. "From an elderly woman?" Madison grabbed her portfolio, shoving papers inside. "This isn't over." "Actually," Mr. Chen said mildly, "it is, unless you'd prefer I file criminal charges." Madison fled, leaving Mom sitting alone at her end of the table, looking lost. Over the next 2 weeks, the family dynamics shifted completely. Madison tried to salvage her reputation, but word spread quickly. The extended family group chat, usually full of Madison's accomplishments, went silent whenever she posted. David filed for separation. He called me once to apologize again and to tell me he'd hired a forensic accountant. "There's more missing money, Harper. Not just from your grandmother. She's been skimming from client estates at her firm." Preston and Associates launched an internal investigation. Madison was placed on administrative leave pending review. The legal community in New York was small, and news traveled fast. The repayment plan Mr. Chen drafted was aggressive but fair. Madison had to liquidate her investment portfolio and sell her Mercedes. The first payment was due immediately, $50,000 that barely covered what she'd taken in the last year alone. "She called me crying," Mom told me one afternoon, showing up at my apartment uninvited. "Said you've ruined her life." "She ruined her own life," I said, not inviting her in. "Harper, please, she's your sister." "She tried to put Grandma in a home and steal her money. She accused me of theft while she was the one stealing." Mom's face crumpled. "I know, I should have seen it, should have listened to you." "Why didn't you?" She was quiet for a long moment. "Because Madison was everything I thought success looked like. The degree, the job, the husband. You were so quiet, working from home, never complaining. I thought you were settling." "I was caring," I said. For the one person who never made me feel less than. I'm sorry, Mom whispered. I know, I said. But sorry doesn't erase 3 years of being treated like I didn't matter. Mom stood at my doorway, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. Can I come in? I stepped aside, letting her enter my tiny apartment. She looked around, taking in my organized workspace, the client files neatly arranged, the business certificates on the wall. I didn't know you had all this, she said, touching my framed CPA license. You never asked. She sank onto my couch. I was a terrible mother to you. You were a mother who played favorites, I corrected. There's a difference. Is there? She looked up at me with red eyes. I made you feel worthless in your own home. I chose Madison over you, even when… She trailed off. Even when she was stealing from Grandma. I didn't know. But you should have suspected. You knew Madison always needed money. You knew she visited Grandma only when she was desperate. Mom nodded miserably. I wanted to believe she was successful, that I'd raised at least one daughter who made it. I made it too, I said quietly. Just differently. I have 12 clients who trust me with their businesses. I have a grandmother who knows I'll protect her. I have integrity. I know that now. Mom pulled out an envelope. This is from the house sale. What? Your father and I are downsizing. This is your portion, what you should have had instead of paying rent while caring for Mother. I looked at the check. $50,000. I can't. You can. You will. It doesn't fix what I did, but it's a start. She stood. I need to earn your forgiveness, Harper. I understand if that takes time. It will, I said honestly, but this is a beginning. 6 months later, I sat in Grandma's sunroom, reviewing her investment portfolio on my laptop. The home health aide, Patricia, was helping her with physical therapy in the living room. Grandma's laughter drifted through the house. Harper, Grandma called. Come see what I can do. I found her standing at the parallel bars Patricia had installed, taking confident steps. At 79, she was stronger than she'd been in years. Looking good, Grandma. Feeling good, she said, beaming. Patricia says I'm her star student. My phone buzzed. A text from my newest client, referred by another satisfied customer. My business had grown to 18 clients now, enough that I'd hired an assistant. Madison called yesterday, Grandma said carefully. Left a voicemail. Did you listen to it? No, that's your decision now. She settled into her chair. But Harper, don't carry anger forever. It's too heavy. I'm not angry anymore, I said truthfully. I'm just… careful. I've learned that family isn't about blood, it's about who shows up. Speaking of showing up, Grandma smiled. Your mother's been visiting twice a week. She reads to me. I know. Mom and I had lunch monthly now. Small steps toward healing. You saved me, Harper, Grandma said suddenly. Not from Madison, from disappearing, from becoming just a problem to solve. You saved me too, I said. You saw me when no one else did. That evening, as I prepared to leave, Grandma handed me a new painting, a sunrise over mountains, brilliant and bold. For your new office, she said, when you're ready. I'd been looking at commercial spaces, ready to take my business to the next level. How did you know? She winked. Quiet people see everything, remember? Thank you for staying with me through this journey. If you've ever had to stand up to family members who didn't value you, I'd love to hear your story in the comments. What boundaries did you have to set? Sometimes the quietest person in the room holds the most power. They just need the right moment to reveal it. And sometimes, the family that matters isn't the one you're born into, but the one that sees your worth. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe and share it with someone who might need to hear it. Until next time, remember, your worth isn't determined by others' opinions.